Welcome to AF Cast. I am your host Malcolm, and today I am with Bryce A.
Hello, everyone.
And also Bryce M.
That's me.
And yes, they are both Bryces. So it'll probably be confusing, but doesn't really matter that much. Anyway, this is my first gaming discussion. This is gaming discussion of October. I discussed this in a previous episode. So basically, every month at the beginning of the month, I come out with a discussion that I have with a group of my gamer friends. And so today's topic, or this month's topic, is top 5 action-adventure games, and we're going to be talking about them from 5 to 1. So, Bryce, if you want to kick us off.
All right, so for me, number 5 is Splinter Cell Blacklist. Like I said, I didn't think it was that popular of a game, but I personally enjoyed it because I don't play too many action-adventure games. It's my favorite. It's definitely my favorite out of the Splinter Cell series. The thing I like the most about it is the Spy vs. Mercs game mode.
All right, sweet. Wait, so what exactly is the Spy vs. Mercs game mode?
So, in Splinter Cell Blacklist, there's it's like team deathmatch, and the spies, which are stealthy and like climb around. It's also in third person, but then you got the mercs, which are hunting the spies, and you're in first person, which is kind of weird.
That's really strange.
Yeah.
Okay.
In my number 5 spot, I put Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I played it fairly recently, and I never actually played the original Mirror's Edge. But I saw that it was at GameStop for fairly cheap, picked it up, and I love the game. Because one of the main reasons I love it is the smooth transition between movement and fighting. And they even have transversal fighting, where as you jump off of a wall, you can hit somebody, and it just makes everything super smooth.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed that game. I didn't really put it on this because I played a lot of action-adventure games. It's probably my favorite genre. But I definitely agree with like the whole combat system of it, and it's honestly for me I'd consider it one of the classics. So I don't know about you guys or not, but
I've never played or seen any kind of videos of Mirror Edge.
Oh, you should definitely look it up because it is especially when people do speed runs, it is insane. Like people get really into it.
Yeah.
Anyway, my fifth one is The Last of Us. So The Last of Us is just it's I would also consider it a classic, at least for me, because it definitely seemed to it didn't like kick off Uncharted or the Lost or not the Lost Legacy, but Shadow of Tomb Raider or any of the Tomb Raider games, because those games actually came before The Last of Us. But I definitely think it sparked people's interest in it more. And so I just really enjoy it. I think it's great, especially with The Last of Us 2 is coming out soon. And that looks beautiful and amazing as well. And they also had a lot of unique stuff that you were able to do in the game. So it was really fun to play and really interesting. So
I love that game. You'll hear it again on my list.
Yeah. All right. So number 4?
Yeah, number 4, I have Dead Space 3. It's technically survival horror, which is a subgenre of action-adventure. I'm not a big horror game person, but I personally found Dead Space 3 not scary enough to, like, not be bored. But yet it's not scary enough to, like, you're, like, crapping your pants or something. But I like the storyline. I mean, I love all the Dead Space games, but Dead Space 3's got to be my favorite just because I like the storyline in it. It's really confusing, though, but...
My number 4, I put Skyrim, which is a game I've played since I was very young.
Very popular game as
well.
well.
Yeah.
I played it back on the Xbox 360, was obsessed with it, and then and then once I got an Xbox One, I got the special edition where I could actually download mods and stuff that just made the game even better than it already was.
All right, so for my number 4, I put Marvel's Spider-Man, which actually came out just like a couple weeks ago, and it was just a very, you could just like, I don't really know how to explain it because it was just really, there were so many things that you could do in the game. I mean, you could swing around Manhattan, and sadly you couldn't go to other parts of New York, but you could still you could go around Manhattan and enjoy, you could like I think I went to my mom's office that she has in New York City. And it was just, the storyline was absolutely brilliant and amazing. And it's actually like the second game that's ever made me cry from the plot line. And I'm sure some of you would understand. But the reason it's also so low on my list is it's just like, in order to actually understand what's happening in the game, you had to have read the comics or at least have some knowledge of the Spider-Man universe. So I think that part does make it worse, but it's still a really amazing game that you can play and just really beautiful.
I've played the Spider-Man game that was out for the PS2 and the original Xbox.
Which one? There's so
Yeah,
many.
there were many.
I think it was The Amazing Spider-Man.
All right. Do you want to kick us off with number 3 then?
Yeah, so my number 3 is Just Cause 2. I've never played any of the other Just Cause, but I really love just going around blowing crap up and just killing people, seeing how I like to do that in a lot of games. It's just enjoyable, and also it's like the less sexualizing version of GTA, in my opinion, because you just steal
and
stuff.
less of a storyline, too.
That too.
It's basically, if you've ever played Crackdown,
I love
it's
that game.
basically that with a plot.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, it was really enjoyable. I think I had it on both the computer and the 360. I think total I had over like 200 play hours of it. Yeah.
Okay, so for my number 3, I actually had GTA 5, and I didn't get
So
that.
the sexualized version of Just Cause 3.
Yeah.
Or Just Cause 2.
Yeah, or any Just Cause game.
I didn't get that till just a couple years ago, and ever since I got it, I've been obsessed with it because
Amen to that.
it has in my opinion, it's a really good storyline from Rockstar.
I didn't understand what you were saying at first, and then I reheard what you said, and then I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But besides the storyline, you can just driving around and stuff in GTA is so fun with the different kinds of cars or the different planes or just boats even. All of it is just so fun to do.
Yeah, I agree. Well, no, I agree because I've never played the game, but
You've never played
I've
GTA
seen
5?
I've seen gameplay. No.
Wow.
And for my number 3, I have Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which actually came out like a week ago from when we're recording this. That is, and it's just a really beautiful game, and honestly, like the other Tomb Raider games, it does get really creepy in some parts and just really demonic, but it's still it reminds me a lot of like Uncharted games, and Uncharted games remind me a lot of Tomb Raider games. But I especially like this new trilogy, not just because of the updated graphics, but also because they actually managed to get the story good, which I feel like it can be hard in these pathed action adventure games, especially when you have to like collect resources. I also like this because you can revisit different locations that you've been and go around, and you can do like challenge tombs and stuff like that and get special rewards. Or you can just have all these upgrades and stuff, and you can upgrade your weapons. You can choose how you take down enemies, whether you want to go full on aggressive or if you want to literally shoot someone with a hallucination arrow and make them think that their friend is a jaguar and kill them, and then they die of fear. Like,
are you serious?
I am serious. That is actually what you can do in the
Jesus.
game. It's kind of messed up, but still. But yeah, it's just a really interesting game that you can play.
I've only played the original Tomb Raider.
I've played the full rebooted trilogy. So
Yeah. All right. So for my number 2, my number
yes,
two.
your number 2.
It's
You even
actually
had to make the sound effect of number 2.
but it's a series. I know we weren't supposed to do series, but it's the Assassin's Creed Ezio era, so that means Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations. I just really loved it because Ezio was a badass character in it. I mean, he was probably the best out of the assassins in my opinion, and the storylines were good, especially when you get to undress Ezio's girlfriend in the first game. No, just kidding. No, just kidding.
All right then.
Assassin's Creed 2 is a slow start. It really doesn't get exciting until, spoiler alert, his parents die, or his family gets killed pretty much, and then he becomes an assassin. That's like,
Cover your ears, children.
that's when it gets good. Brotherhood is just pretty much nonstop action, except like all the Assassin's Creed game, except for the one part where he starts sleeping with a girl, but that's not important.
Yo, let's like avoid the sexual stuff.
Yeah.
All right, and then there's Revelations, which Ezio's old, but he's still awesome.
So yeah, for my number 2, I actually did Assassin's Creed Revelations.
So more specific.
Yeah. I liked it the best out of the Assassin's Creed series, solely because most of the beginning games, they were trying to get the combat worked out, and I feel like Revelations was the first one where they actually had a good combat system in it, where you could like consistently feel like you're doing something in a fight, where it's not just an easy win or you're going to be dead instantly. And it also had really good movement with the introduction of the hook claw, so you could ride on zip lines and all of that throughout the city.
Did you know that they actually had a reference to Assassin's Creed and Ghost Recon? If you go to Nidia Flores' house and you go to the tower, you can see one of the hay bale things at the bottom that you would jump into in Assassin's Creed.
I believe with faith.
Ubisoft does a lot of those because they also did one on the Rainbow Six Siege map Villa. If you look off into the distance, you can see a tower and you can see a silhouette standing on top of it.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Okay. There's also in Ghost Recon you can see. I think it was It was either Skyrim or Dark Souls reference, but it was essentially a sword and like a little campfire.
That's Dark Souls.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh, God.
I wasn't entirely sure because they can be similar in references sometimes. Anyway, my second game is Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. I know this isn't part of like the main series from Uncharted 1 through 4, but I really did enjoy this because I don't know if it was supposed to be a cap to the series, but it was really interesting going away from Nathan Drake and actually getting a view of just another view of like how they went after treasure and like who they were against and stuff like that. I don't know. I think it was after Uncharted 4. I'm not entirely sure when it was, but it was definitely interesting to play, and it was just. And I do love the entire Uncharted series. I also really liked Uncharted 4, which I played just before I played The Lost Legacy. But I definitely liked how The Lost Legacy just seems to tie up any loose ends that seem to be in the world. So, yeah, that's my number 2.
So number 1 for me, as I said I was going to be on this list, is The Last of Us. Fun fact, it was the first game I've ever played on a PlayStation 3. And also one of the only games I played. I've played like 3 games, but it was one of the major stories that actually had me in tears, because like, God, I forgot the character. Ellie, was just an adorable kid, to be honest, and then she became a amazing killer, and just
I'm so proud of my child.
I don't know what words to use because I'm trying to keep it PG. But I really love the story. A lot of action. I love zombie games. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it.
So for my number 1, I put Just Cause 3. It's another game I haven't picked up till fairly recently. I got it around the same time as Mirror's Edge Catalyst, but
You did get it around the same time as Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
Same GameStop trip. So, I just really like it because although the story isn't amazing, there is a story to it. But just being able to travel around the open world, whether you're wingsuiting, parachuting, flying a cargo plane, and all the vehicles are really fun with the special abilities you can get on them, like nitrous and nitrous jump, and it just feels really fun to go around the world and do all the stuff.
Yeah, I really like the Fallion or whatever, something like that. I forgot what it was called. It's like the fastest car besides the Formula 1 car.
Yeah.
Also the DLCs are like really fun, but if you get the DLCs, then they're really only fun the first time.
I saw
yeah.
I saw someone on a video, because I've never played Just Cause 3. Like I said, Just Cause 2 is my only game, but I saw a video on it, and someone, I think they were hacking, had a nitrous or something on a dump truck, and they went full speed into the huge cargo plane, and just parts of the dump truck and the plane just went flying all over the place.
Yep, sounds like Just Cause.
Yeah.
So my number 1 was Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm not entirely sure if this was a popular game or not, because like it seemed to have a lot of hype, and then after it came out there was just silence. Like it didn't seem, I don't know. To me it didn't seem like there was all of a sudden a lot of chatter about it. But it was just like it's really fun to like upgrade your bow and get like different like abilities that you can use against these robotic dinosaurs that you'll find in the world, especially how like at first they seem normal, like normal dinosaurs, and you'll get into ones that will literally just well, I don't even know what to call it. They'll just like camouflage into their surroundings and they'll move super fast and then shoot lasers at you. And it's stuff like that. But it's also fun to like learn the different ways to fight against these different creatures that you have to fight against. So like, yeah, you just have to figure out what parts to hit. You have to figure, because like the stealth ones I was just talking about, they actually have a certain piece on their body that if you hit off, they can't go invisible anymore. And so that makes life a lot easier. But also the story was absolutely amazing with a huge cliffhanger, and so I'm really hoping that there's another Horizon game. But yeah, it was interesting to play. It was fun to play, and it was especially since it got really deep in meaning at some point throughout the gameplay, and there are different ways to play. And honestly, the photo mode in any of these PS4 exclusive games I listed, like Uncharted, Horizon, and actually 4 out of the 5 of my games are PS4 exclusive. I just realized that. But yeah, the photo mode in all of these are really good. Well, that have photo mode. I don't think The Last of Us has photo mode, but it's really amazing. I just love taking photos of like these giant dinosaurs just like falling on their backs. I'm just like, my character's just sitting on top of them. Yeah, it's just, and you can also get really beautiful shots. Like the screenshot that's in the back of my PlayStation, it's actually a waterfall that's in Horizon, and I just I changed the way that everything looked in the game, like the color filters and stuff, and it looks beautiful. But yeah, that's Horizon.
And back to what you said at the beginning about it being really hyped at release, I also noticed that where it was talked about, and then it came out, and it was one of the biggest games when it came out, but it died off very quickly.
Oh yeah, it did. It definitely did. Yeah. I think that's because there's not much replayability in the game, unless you made a new game, obviously. But honestly, for me, it was so fun to play that I didn't care whether it had replayability or not. I loved going after the dinosaurs and taking them on over and over again, even though there was no point in doing it anymore. It was just really fun. But anyway, that's it for our gaming discussion. I don't know what it will be next month, but I'm hoping to have these guys and maybe more with me next month for November. The term of the day is MVP, and for those of you who don't know what that is, it stands for Most Valuable Player, which is typically seen as number 1 on the leaderboard. Bryce, no, you're not.
Which one?
I don't know. Which one is it?
Dun.
But yeah, there's MVP, so game on.